closed after a crash. In Buckinghamshire, one lane is closed clockwise on the M25 at junction 16 due to a collision. In South Gloucestershire, the M4 westbound at junction 20 has one lane closed, causing delays. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast Railway faces disruptions between London Euston and Milton Keynes Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
We're kick-starting summer with your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, as there's an incredible £54,321 in tax-free cash to be won. What would you spend it on? A brand new car, the holiday of a lifetime, or just sit back, relax and remove some of those day-to-day financial stresses? For another chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 3rd year in a row.
So thank you so much for voting for us.
First, and hopefully there'll be a few more to come down the line.
GB. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's because of you that we're proud to be the People's Channel. It's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World with me, Ben Leo, just for tonight. I'm also joined by political commentators Chloe Dobbs and Andy Twelves, and later in the show, the businessman and entrepreneur Matt Wallace and Apprentice star and businesswoman Nadia Suleiman. Big show coming up, but first, let's get your news headlines.
Ben, thank you, and a very good evening to you. Just after 7 o'clock, the top story. Marcus Monzo has been jailed for life today for murdering 14-year-old schoolboy Daniel Andrin with a samurai sword. The judge called Daniel's injuries unsurvivable and blamed Monzo's prolonged drug use for his state of mind. The 37-year-old also injured 5 others, including 2 police officers, during a 20-minute rampage in April. He was found guilty of attempted murder, wounding with intent and carrying an offensive weapon. Well, speaking outside court today, Daniel's parents said their son had so much potential and was taken in a way no family should ever have to endure.
No verdict or sentence can bring back our son Daniel, who we loved so dearly, but we are grateful that justice has been served. Daniel was taken from us in a way that no family should ever have to endure. His life had so much potential ahead. He was gifted academically, was kind, and had a generous spirit that touched everyone who knew him. We carry that light with us, even in this dark time.
Donald Trump is celebrating a giant win after the Supreme Court limited judges' powers to block presidential orders today. It paves the way for his controversial birthright citizenship ban to take effect in just 30 days. In a briefing earlier lasting over an hour, Donald Trump hailed the decision as a monumental victory for the Constitution, but criticised what he described as radical left judges for undermining his powers. Here, Sir Keir Starmer has confirmed a major climb down on his welfare reforms. It's the third government U-turn in just a month. It's after a rebellion by more than 100 Labour MPs threatened to sink the bill. The move slashes up to £3 billion from the bill's expected savings and casts doubt over the Chancellor Rachel Reeves' economic plans. Some rebels have welcomed the concessions, but others say they'll still vote against the bill over fears of a two-tier welfare system. 4 people have been arrested by counter-terror police after a break-in at RAF Brize Norton, where military planes were sprayed with red paint. Footage posted by Palestine Action showed activists targeting an RAF jet engine with fire extinguishers. 3 suspects, aged 24, 29 and 36, were arrested under the Terrorism Act, with a 4th woman held for assisting an offender. The government now plans to prescribe Palestine Action, making support for the group illegal. France has today agreed to take back some Channel migrants in a new one-in, one-out deal with the UK. It means for every illegal migrant arriving here in the UK, one will be returned across the Channel within weeks. It's the first agreement of its kind aimed at stopping repeat crossings and cracking down on smuggling gangs. The Home Secretary is expected to unveil the plan next week, ahead of French President Macron's state visit to London. And amber heat health alerts are now in force across much of England as the country faces its second heat wave of the summer so far. Temperatures are set to soar into the 30s this weekend, peaking on Monday when Wimbledon opens with highs of potentially 35 degrees across London and Cambridgeshire. It could make it the hottest start to the tournament on record. Meanwhile, festival goers at Glastonbury can expect dry skies, sunshine and potentially tropical nights as the heat wave rolls right into next week. Those are the latest headlines for now. I'll be back in an hour's time. Now, though, it's back over to Ben.
Very good evening to you. Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World with me, just for this 1 week, Ben Leo, and I'm delighted to be joined in the pub by political commentators Chloe Dobbs and Andy Twelves, who's the lefty in the corner today. Welcome along, you two. Hope your pint glasses are full of booze and whatever else. Right, this week we're going to kick off with one of the hottest debates in town. Of course, Donald Trump, the United States, dropping bombs on Iranian nuclear sites. However, the only problem this side of the pond is our Prime Minister, our dear leader, Sir Keir Starmer, who, despite days ago saying he didn't think Donald Trump would be dropping those bombs, sending those B-52s, or B-2s rather, across the Pacific and the Atlantic, he was made, or at least it was suggested, he's been made to look a little bit foolish after Donald Trump did the exact opposite to what he said he was going to do. Take a look.
On Tuesday morning, you said how important de-escalation was. This was at the G7. You told me you didn't think a US attack was imminent. You sat next to President Trump at the G7 dinner of leaders. You said nothing the president said suggests he's about to get involved in this conflict. On the contrary, here we are. He has struck Iran. He's done exactly the opposite of what you said you thought he was going to do. Do you feel foolish, frustrated that he's not listening?
Well, it's clearly a fast-moving situation, and there's been a huge amount of discussions in the days since the G7 ended. And the US has now taken the action to alleviate the threat.
So there we go. The Prime Minister saying he wasn't foolish, things change, conversations happy. Chloe Dobbs, what's your take on that? Has he been made to look a weeny bit silly?
Not even a weeny bit. Extremely silly. Keir Starmer has absolutely failed on everything domestically in the year that he's been in power. And the one place where he feels like he's been successful is on the world stage. That's why he's never here, and he's always got Angela Rayner filling in at PMQs, because he's going around gallivanting at conferences and whatnot.
Hiding away
with his chest puffed up, and he was very pleased with himself for managing to butter up Donald Trump with this letter for a sleepover with the king and everything. But now, even on the world stage, he looks pretty irrelevant. We had, not only did he claim that Donald Trump was most likely not going to strike Iran, whilst Donald Trump was probably already sending the planes up into the sky, clearly showing he wasn't part of the conversation. But we've then had, at the NATO summit, this embarrassing video where Donald Trump is turning turning his back on Keir Starmer, walking away, and Keir Starmer looking like a lost little schoolboy without any friends.
Yeah, you have to say, I don't think, though, it's a particularly personal point to Keir Starmer. I think what America did, without notifying NATO, the UN, without getting involved in what Keir Starmer would do, is like reviews here and...
Didn't ask the ICJ.
Exactly, legal advice there. He didn't need the UK, he didn't need EU allies, he didn't need NATO. America just stuck their chest out and cracked on with it, and actually that's what I quite admire about what they did. Andy 12's in the corner there. Chloe thinks Starmer's been made to look not just a little bit foolish, but very foolish. What's your take?
I don't think so. I think if anyone looks foolish, it's Trump. You know, he didn't tell his allies that he was going to go and bomb, you know, an enemy of the West. He then declared that there was this big ceasefire with this great poetic paragraph on Truth Social. 5 minutes later, the ceasefire was actually blown up by Israel and Iran. He went out to the press pool, started swearing at him. And I think if anyone looks foolish, it's Trump. I mean, it's not Keir Starmer's fault that Trump isn't following the way that, you know, international conflicts should happen. And, you know, as far as the photo call goes, you know, he was stood on a stage taking a photo and then walked off. I think it's a bit mad that people are taking that Trump turned his back on him. They were having a photo and they walked off the stage. It's really not that deep. I think Trump has been the one that's acted inappropriately here.
I mean, you couldn't possibly be more off the mark, Andy, right? Donald Trump has just prevented a nuclear World War III. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would quite
Did Israel have nuclear weapons?
Israel are not a country that is happy to be wiped out for the sake of destroying another country.
Israel are one of the four
Iran
signatories to the anti-nuclear pact.
Iran
are. Israel aren't.
Sorry, say that again.
Israel, Pakistan, India and North Korea are the only countries in the world that haven't signed an international pact banning the use of nuclear weapons. Iran have signed it.
But why is that?
I don't have any...
Why is that? I mean, that's
listen, Andy.
Iran have been 3 to 5 years away from having nukes since 1992. That was the first time Netanyahu said that they were 3 to 5 years away. Israel, do they have nuclear weapons?
I don't care if Israel has a nuclear weapon because they will actually use it as a deterrent.
Use it on, you know, innocent Gazans. You know, what's that? 50,000 Palestinians they've killed there. I think really we should be. You know, Israel are the ones that broke the ceasefire.
So where are those figures from? 50,000?
The Red Cross.
No.
Yes, they are. Red Cross.
Hamas-run health ministry.
No. Be truthful.
Red Cross and Amnesty.
No, from the Hamas-run health authority. I'm not saying innocents haven't died in Israel, in Gaza.
More journalists than any conflict ever.
Journalists are Hamas fighters with press.
Yes, Hamas fighters in press vests don't count as journalists.
Have you looked into it?
Yes.
How many Hamas fighters have been donning press jackets?
I'm sure some, but I mean, you know, 50,000 innocent Palestinians.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sounds like you're guessing.
Not really. Well, I mean, it is hard to say when they are firebombing, you know, civilian buildings.
You are. Sorry, Chloe. I'm reining on your debate. You are aware Hamas are a prescribed terrorist organisation in the UK?
Yes, I'm well aware. Are you, Ben?
So you're happy to believe Hamas health figures over, say, our allies in the United States or Israel?
I mean,
or indeed the British government?
I think the IDF have had a track record of lying about it, so I don't really believe either of them. I believe the international aid organisations, of which Israel are trying to stop going into Gaza.
Right, anyway, this is meant to be about nuclear weapons, right?
Nuclear weapons
and
we don't know that Israel have.
Can I get a word in, please?
Right.
The way nuclear weapons work is that if you fire it, you will get a response and you will be destroyed as well. It's mutually assured destruction. The only country that is going to use a nuclear weapon on another country is a country that is happy to be wiped off the map. It is only crazy fundamentalist regimes like Iran whose mission is to destroy Israel, and they're people who are happy to die for the cause. They think that they're heroes if they die to wipe Israel, to wipe America, to wipe Jews off the map, because they think that that means they're going to have a great afterlife with their 72 virgins and whatnot. Iran could not have a nuclear weapon, and Trump did the right thing and took decisive action to stop them from having one.
No,
we would have had nuclear war. We would have had a sovereign nation. Ask the people of Iran who are absolutely crying out for regime change there. Ask the girls who get thrown in prison, tortured, blinded if they show their hair, if it's like a lovely sovereign nation that we all should respect.
I'm saying that the US shouldn't go around bombing countries without notifying their allies.
Andy, Iran, not the Iranian people, who are very good people, the Iranian regime is a terrorist state.
Yes.
We've had Daniel Khalif, the British soldier, who was sentenced in February for spying for Iran. We had a guy arrested at the RAF base in Cyprus just a few days ago, a British guy spying for Iran, plotting a terror attack on the RAF base there. We had 5 Iranians, and I know a lot about this case, which I can't really talk about, but 5 Iranians arrested.
You're going to talk about it.
Arrested on the way to, well, I'll tell you what's out in the public domain, arrested on the way to bomb the Israeli embassy just a few weeks ago. 3 separate Iranians arrested in a separate terror plot in London by counter-terror police. You've got the ex-Iranian vice president who issued the fatwa on Salman Rushdie, living in a £1 million North London home. He backs the fatwa on Rushdie. Rushdie, of course, escaped with his life just a year or so ago after being stabbed. And by the way, this guy living in London now, so we take care of him in London, this ex-Iranian VP, he was one of the biggest proponents and supporters of Soleimani, of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards, a prescribed terrorist organisation in the United States, probably soon to be here in the UK. So when you say Iran are a sovereign nation, they're not. They're a menace. They're a scourge on the world. They're recruiting British soldiers.
Notifying your allies.
Even if they don't have a nuke, I don't care. Sort Iran out.
Okay, that's fantastic. But it was Israel that broke the ceasefire that Trump brokered. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It was Israel
Andy, tell
that
the
fired
truth.
first.
Who fired the first rocket in the ceasefire?
Ever? It was
No, in the
Israel.
ceasefire.
No, during the ceasefire. Who broke the ceasefire?
It was Israel, Ben.
It wasn't.
It was Iran.
It was Israel, Ben.
Okay.
It was
I
Iran.
think you've had too many drinks.
Trump was.
I think you've had.
Trump said, when Trump started swearing live on air, which was quite hilarious, what he said was that he was upset that Israel had, in the period before the ceasefire was going to end, like the last 6 hours or whatever, that they had basically gone all in and doubled up their efforts. And I think that Israel probably thought maybe we can finish the IRGC off before this ceasefire. And he was upset that they had upped the ante, right? Not that they had been the first ones to break the ceasefire. Iran decided to break the ceasefire.
I mean, getting back to the original topic of the debate, what's that got to do with Keir Starmer looking foolish? Trump is acting as, kind of cowboy out in the Middle East, brokering all these peace deals, bombing people without notifying his allies. What's that got to do with Keir Starmer? I mean, surely, it'd be the Minister for the Middle East job to sort with this, I mean, do you not think, Ben?
Say that again, sorry. Do you
not think it's the Foreign Secretary, the Minister of the Middle East?
Well, no, I think the whole thing, as I said, it's not a personal attack on Keir Starmer.
It sounds like a personal attack on Keir Starmer.
Well, there's plenty to attack the Prime Minister on, but I think this just shows that America doesn't need the UK, doesn't need the EU, doesn't need NATO, doesn't need to refer to the international order as you so fondly describe it, because Donald Trump was elected to put America first, and that means not consulting the rest of the world when America wants to do something to benefit itself.
How does that help working class Americans bombing Iran? How does that get their bills down? How does that get them affordable homes?
Because you haven't got a world war going on, Andy.
This is pure neocon George W. Bush republicanism. This isn't MAGA republicanism.
No.
It's America first. No. How does Iran help America?
Andy, let me be clear. Donald Trump is someone who's very much against wars. Okay, he's campaigned on a promise that he will try to end wars, and a lot of people, let me finish. And a lot of people have said initially when he was thinking about striking Iran, oh, he's causing wars. No. He was trying to end a war and stop it from becoming a nuclear world war. And I know that that we should be careful in the West about intervening in the Middle East. There have certainly been times when that has been done when it shouldn't have been done. But in this case, the US were the only ones that possessed what they're calling the mother of all bombs that could destroy those underground nuclear facilities. Israel didn't have it, so they couldn't.
The bases. They missed the bases.
They
missed the base.
Okay, we are waiting for reports on exactly how much damage has been done, and we have had.
They turned up, bombed them without telling anyone, and they actually missed. They didn't even do the job correctly.
What do you mean they missed?
They missed the bases. They missed the nuclear.
On what basis are you making that up?
Reuters.
Okay.
It. Oh, what do you mean? Okay, Reuters, an internationally renowned wire.
Coming up next, it's Real World, Real People with Matt Wallace.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
My eye this morning, because I say it all the time. You can't say gents
at work. You're deemed to be not inclusive.
It's not inclusive. This comes from a tribunal which took place where a woman took umbrage at one of her bosses using the term in an email, "Dear gents." Well, you can't use the word gent. I mean, I wonder what it's like when you go to the gents now, whether you have to say going to the non-gender specific lavatories. It's a phrase. It shows that you're a bit old, they say, using the word gents now. I mean, I don't regard myself as old, although some may disagree with that.
This caught my eye as well, because one of your lovely presenters, who's on, I believe, at 6 o'clock, Michelle Dewberry, she very often says, you know, "Thank you, gents." I don't think she's
polite.
I don't think she's going to be changing. But it's when you look into this story, there was a little bit more to this than meets the eye, because this email was sent round by management in this insurance company, and one of the ladies who was on a list to be made redundant, along with men, used that email as evidence as to why there was discrimination going on. So there was a little bit more to this, and what the court said was that, you know, this was clumsy language, but this was managerial incompetence. And I don't think we should in any way take that as meaning it's got any wider...
So hang on, the court even said it's clumsy language?
The court said it was clumsy language. I mean, they shouldn't be using that language, but what I'm saying is I don't think this means that we have to all change our behaviour because of this one...
But what next, Anna?
Decision.
I've noticed a trend among, particularly in younger people, to call people guys, even women.
Yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Hello, welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World with me, Ben Leo, just for this 1 week. And I'm delighted now to be joined by our Real World, Real People guest, Matt Wallace, entrepreneur and businessman. Matt, how are you doing? Good to see you, my friend. First of all, cheers. Welcome to the Boozer. Look, I'm so excited to speak with you because you have an absolutely, I think it's so exciting, a great idea. It's called AutoMind. Yep. And you launched last week. Just tell our viewers and tell me, what is AutoMind? How did it start?
Yeah, so AutoMind came about because basically we have been spending the last 10 years servicing people's cars and hearing the same stories. The first story is I've been driving around with the engine light on for 6 months and I got away with it. Yeah. The other one is I'm panicking because my engine light's come on. Can you get out to me tomorrow or today or yesterday even? And then cost of diagnostics is the other one. And the last one is I can't trust my garage. I don't know whether they're telling me the truth or not. Because not because the garage is wrong, but because you don't know. So if the consumer doesn't know, how are they supposed to discuss it with the garage?
So you're driving along, say it's me 2 weeks ago, a light comes on, you don't know what it is. You don't want to go to the garage because some of them will charge you, what, 150, 200 quid just to tell you what the problem is, but that's before any work starts, right?
That's right, yeah.
So what does AutoMind do? How does that fix that?
So AutoMind basically plugs into the vehicle's diagnostic port, and then you've got an app on your phone that connects to that through Bluetooth.
Right.
Okay, and basically what that will do is it will communicate the engine fault codes back to your app, okay? Tell you what the fault codes are, but obviously that's a coded piece of information to you. If you're not a mechanic or you're not an enthusiast, you're not going to know what those codes are. Okay, so what we're able to do then is for you to purchase a report that's written by AI.
Yep.
And basically that will tell you exactly what's going on with a number of questions that you answer. What's going on with your vehicle, whether it's capable of being driven safely or not, in layman's terms, what the actual fault is. Okay, so that when you go to the garage, you're actually able to discuss with them what it is and what...
You're clued up, you're equipped, you're educated. Right, so this is the packaging. AutoMind, let's take a quick look. So this just goes into the diagnostics port in the car.
That's correct,
right?
yeah. And on the app, there's a button to press where you can actually find your diagnostic port on your vehicle, because they are in different locations. Some of them are hidden away, so it's nice and easy to find.
So it plugs in, and then it connects via Bluetooth to your mobile phone.
Yeah.
And then just on the app, the AutoMind app, you can then see what's going on, and you get a fault code which tells you, for example, instead of just numbers and letters, it will say...
That's it.
It will say what? Like, you got a problem with your head gasket or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. And then basically, to most people, a head gasket wouldn't mean anything. But to the AI and answering a few questions, we can determine what's actually going on with your vehicle and how it will affect you.
Key question, if a diagnostics check at the garage is 150 quid a pop, how much is AutoMind?
So this is free. We're giving away these free, 10,000 of them we got at the moment.
Freebies?
Ready to go. In the UK, you just pay postage and packaging. The app downloaded is free. There's no subscription. We just charge $7.95 whenever you need a report, pay as you go.
So not per month, just once every time you need to use
whenever
it, $7.99?
Whenever you need a report, that's it, only.
Well, it's a damn sight cheaper than 150 quid, eh?
Certainly.
Tell us how you started the business then, Matt. What inspired you? How did it all happen?
I started UKCC Autotex, which is my main business, repairing emission faults and remapping, as I say, 10 years ago. And I've spent most of my time speaking to customers on a daily basis that are saying these three problems that are, I've got this engine light on, etc. And I got approached by an Israeli company about a year into the business who said to me, we've got this dongle, we've got this app, we can read fault codes and we can send them to you. Are you interested? And I thought it was a fantastic idea, but unfortunately my team blew it down at the time, and I wish to God I hadn't listened, okay? But there was no AI back then, so it was a case of, we've got the fault code, now we're gonna have to ring the customer and we're gonna have to go through a diagnostic with them. So it was a different system back then. But this basically came about, as soon as AI came onto the market, it reinvigorated me. It made me realise, actually, I've got something now that I can go to the market that's completely unique. No one's doing this. I've spent 2 years training the AI to actually decipher the fault codes for you in plain English.
It's amazing what AI is doing to so many industries, isn't it? I mean, the UK... tell us, is the UK the AI powerhouse, as the likes of Sir Keir Starmer tells us?
I think it is. I think it is. I mean, I speak to a lot of people who are involved in AI because of what I've been doing. And I think that, yeah, we are well ahead of the game compared to most people in how we are using AI.
And how are you getting on? How many subscriptions have you so far?
We've got just under 1,500 already.
In just, what, a week or 2 weeks?
Just over a week, which is fantastic. It's well ahead of schedule because we haven't even really started pushing it yet. This is just off the back of my business with clients that I've been speaking to over the last couple of years while I've been developing it.
And where are you based?
Down in Sussex.
Oh, me too.
Horsham. Really?
Horsham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down near Worthing.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
just
so
down the road.
Not too far. Yeah, lovely West Sussex. Is there anybody else doing this in the UK right now, or is it you're sort of leading the way?
We're leading the way. So there are plenty of tools out there which are just a dongle and an app, and they read fault codes. They're designed for enthusiasts. They're not designed for the everyday driver who doesn't really understand the fault codes.
Yeah.
That's what my element is all about. It's making sure that you can actually get that information and decode it.
And what do you need now? What would really propel your business to new heights?
Thousands of users. As simple as that. If we can get all the users out there, drivers out there, onto one of these, so that they're safe, they've got it, they just have it in their car, they don't need to be using it all the time.
So what's your plan to do that?
Marketing, lots of PR, through the business. So our business gets thousands of hits a week. So we're going to be promoting it through that website. Obviously, those people are coming to us because they've got faults already.
Yeah.
So they're an ideal client base. And eventually through garages. We'd like to promote it through garages. We'd like to network with garages and actually get garages getting the business off the back end of this.
Matt, an amazing idea, really inspiring. Where can people find out more if they want to grab one?
So go to GoAutomind.com.
GoAutominds.com. There we go. Great stuff. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Great to meet you.
Take care.
Thanks, buddy. Coming up next on Lee Anderson's Real World with me, Ben Leo, it's right versus left.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend we'll see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. Still quite breezy out there as well, and it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the Highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast. And again, some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be 1 or 2 showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south. So some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here in the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland. So cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees. Hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World with me, Ben Leo, just for this week only. Let's crack on with our second debate. I'm joined again by political commentators Andy Twelves and Chloe Dobbs. Welcome back, you two. Right, I don't know if you guys at home saw this week. Tory MP Chris Philp went out and about to an asylum hotel and discovered, to his credit, same as Robert Jenrick has with the underground fare dodgers, he discovered migrant workers, asylum seekers, small boat arrivals, working for the likes of Deliveroo, Just Eat, delivery services, despite not being allowed to. Take a look at this.
So we're at the hotel here. You can see there's a lot of Just Eat bikes here, a lot of Deliveroo bikes, loads of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whereabouts are you from? From Yemen. Yemen, you're from Yemen. Okay. Okay, and did you get here by boat? No English. No, that's you from? From Iran. Okay, from Tehran or? Sorry, you can if you want, free country. A shopkeeper in the shop behind me, he confirmed the hotel is an asylum hotel, and people, he said, arrived on small boats are now staying there. And he also said he's seen lots of the residents of the hotel doing work on Uber Eats, on Deliveroo.
Right, of course, that was Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary. Well done, as far as I'm concerned. Good job. But the big question is, guys, should asylum seekers be allowed to work whilst they're here, whilst waiting for their asylum claims? Andy, start with you.
No, I think, to set up a system where they can work legally would be a waste of government time. I think they should be focusing on, getting through the backlog of genuine asylum seekers and working on methods to stop them coming across in the first place. I think that's where government's kind of focus should be. But I think, the focus shouldn't actually be on the migrant workers on this one. I think it should be on these delivery companies, because, it's not just migrant workers that they're taking the mick with. With British workers, the conditions that they have them working in, the way that they treat them as employees but don't give them employee benefits is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that really should be the focus of this story, is that these delivery companies are just taking the mick out of all workers, British and migrant alike.
Yeah, there are calls, Chloe, from British people particularly not to use these companies. Same as with Uber as well, because we just know this kind of thing is rife. You, though, think maybe they should be allowed to work under some strict rules?
I think that the British taxpayer shouldn't be having to fork out an absolute ton of money to house and feed these people who sit about in hotels doing absolutely nothing. Also, when they've got nothing to do, they go about the town in gangs, shoplifting, preying on young girls and whatnot. So I think that if they're here, they should be forced to do something if they're going to have a roof over their head. That could be something like community service, for example, where they say, right, you've got to be working every day if we're going to let you have a roof over your head. But ultimately, they shouldn't be in this country in the first place. We shouldn't be offering the hotels at all. I'm just saying, out of the two situations, it might be slightly better than them sitting on their bums in hotels with nothing to do, going on trips to bouncy castles, DJ lessons and the rest of it, because that is really taking the mick out of the British taxpayer.
If only Chris Philp had done something when he was in government for 14 years. If only the Tories, instead of these making these fancy videos now, Bobby Jenrick running around the underground confronting people, if only he'd done something when he was in government, when he was a minister. I mean, could you imagine?
I don't know if I'm 10 pints in or what, but that's the second time I've agreed with you, Andy. So, yeah, good point. So, Chloe, just going back to you. You went on this trip, right? You mimicked an asylum seeker's journey to Britain. You went on the journey through Syria and so on. It feels like you've kind of shifted left a little bit since that trip. Has your consciousness, your political consciousness, been altered by that trip?
I think it has to some degree, but I'm still very clear that we should have absolutely no illegal migrants coming to this country. Yeah, I absolutely would turn them back. What I understood from that trip is why they are coming, and I don't blame them. I understand why they are coming to Britain. Yeah. And one of the reasons why is the pull of the hotels and everything we offer them, right? There are other reasons than that, and it's more complicated than we think. But ultimately, it's on us as a country to put in place the right deterrents and to have the tenacity to turn those boats back, to make sure that they do not enter this country in the first place.
Just to clarify, would you allow them to work for Deliveroo and Just Eat and Uber Eats?
I'm not sure if I would allow them to work those jobs specifically. I won't use Deliveroo because I don't want some random undocumented male, possibly from a backwards culture, to turn up at my door, nobody else around, and potentially push his way in. I think that that's a...
Yeah, but he's just trying to give you your chicken cheese wrap and chips and want to integrate in society.
I mean, this isn't just happening with migrant workers that, people are using different accounts. This is also an issue with British workers. This is the big delivery companies getting round, paying actual workers what they deserve, giving them the benefits they deserve. This isn't the migrants' fault. They're just using the app as it's designed. But this is the government's role to clamp down on these delivery companies, not because of illegal migrants or whatever, but because the workers are being exploited.
Well, I'm not blaming the migrants, right?
That's the key point. It's the delivery companies.
If there's $1,000 a week disposable income because your housing and food is already paid for, free money to go around on a bike all day delivering food, of course you are going to do it, right? It is down to those delivery companies and the enforcement from the government to do that. And what I think is quite telling of how little the government cares about this issue is they absolutely know that this is happening. You rock up to any of these Home Office run hotels and you've got all the bikes parked outside. Yeah. It's only until the Sun and the Express have done, a big expose on this and there's outcry about this that they said, well, maybe we'll meet with the delivery companies and do something about it.
Can I ask, would you have more of a problem having a random migrant delivery driver than a British delivery driver who wasn't meant to be on the system?
You mean a Brit who's working illegally?
Yeah.
And why would a Brit be working illegally?
It just happens. You can jump on the accounts.
They're just trading accounts. Someone needs some spare money. He's using his mate's account. Would you have more of a problem with a migrant, an undocumented migrant, or a illegal Brit, or is it the same?
I would have more of a problem with a migrant, and I'm sure some people will say that's racist. But if No. We have the stats, we have the figures. We know that in European countries, the migrants that have come here, that if you look at the stats of how likely are they to commit rape or sexual assault or various other crimes, we know that they have a higher propensity to do so. That absolutely does not mean that every single one of them is going to do that. It just means the chances of it happening is higher.
That's not racist, is it?
It is racist.
It's just basic. No, it's just basic statistical analysis.
If you're concerned.
So I mean, the stats.
If you're concerned that someone who you have no way of tracking their identity is going to force their way into your home and do unspeakable things, it should not matter whether that person's come from Afghanistan or whether they've come from Brixton.
I'm sorry, but
it doesn't matter.
But Afghanistan has the worst record in the world for their treatment of women. And if you look at the stats on where we've had stats come out of.
It could be anything. What about France? If it's an undocumented French migrant, if it's someone from Paris.
If it's someone from Paris, then I think, I don't have the exact stats on the propensity of a Frenchman versus an Englishman, but whenever we've had Europeans versus migrants from places like Afghanistan and whatnot, we see that people from these...
Albania is in Europe, but they've got a pretty bad crime statistic.
Well, you were talking about Paris a minute ago. No, I would be concerned about Albanians because they've committed a lot of crimes in this country.
Certain European countries. Is there a hierarchy of European countries that you would be happy or not happy to work illegally?
Yeah. Of course.
What's the ranking? What's your top 5?
Oh my God. Okay, well,
I think... ranking, what's it based on? Is it based on whether, you're more white, more brown?
Andy, you're completely just trying to strawman this to make it look like...
I'm trying to figure out what the ranking of your European countries to break the law is.
It would be on the basis of what the stats show on the propensity of different cultures to commit crimes. I mean, we had some shocking stats come out of Italy showing that, I think it was... Afghans and Eritreans were 17 to 18 times more likely to commit rape and sexual assault
than in the UK. Somalians
than a typical Italian. I'm not plucking this out of nowhere, Andy, because I'm just some big fat racist. I'm basing this in statistics.
I think it's a stupid argument to say that a British person who is working illegally and is untraceable is worse to have it's better to have unspeakable things done to you than a migrant who is untraceable.
Hang on. I am not saying that I would rather be raped by an Englishman than an Afghan.
You say you'd feel more comfortable with an untraceable British worker than an untraceable migrant worker. That is what you're saying.
Both are an issue, but if one is more likely on the statistics that we have to commit rape and sexual assault, yes, absolutely, I would be more concerned.
I think by workplace.
MPs are the most
likely to commit sexual assault amongst any workplace, but I think you'd be quite happy with an MP to live in unit.
Let me try and settle this with one basic question. Do you accept the premise that countries, particularly like Afghanistan, Somalia, so on and so on, have different cultures and different approaches when it comes to women?
Of course, yes.
Right, there we go. That's what Chloe's saying.
That's not what she's saying. She's saying she'd rather have a British untraceable worker deliver her shish kebab than a migrant untraceable worker. It breaks the premise.
You don't need a weatherman to tell you it's raining outside.
It doesn't break the premise.
Everybody knows that there are certain cultures where we have migrants coming from, where they have different approaches and different standards of acceptance of women. That's a fact which you've just accepted. Additionally to that, Chloe's just presented you some statistics, and I have as well, e.g. in the UK, Somalians have been found to be 8 times more likely to commit sexual assaults than native Brits. That is the fact.
Oh, we're not doing this again with native Brits.
Well, unfortunately, there are natives.
There's British people and there's not British people. There's no such thing as a native Brit.
I mean, it is. There's people who are native to a country.
Okay, what do you define as native? How many generations back did you become native?
And if you go to Tokyo, and I'm there for long enough to get a passport, and I'm a Japanese citizen. I've been there for 4 years. Say that's the rule. I don't know if it is, but that's the rule. Am I a native Japanese person?
No. Would your children be? Would your children be? If they were born and raised in Japan?
No, there's such a thing called...
Would your grandparents or your grandchildren?
Have you ever heard of second generation?
When are the generations?
And it's a word in dictionary. It's called ethnicity.
Yeah,
it's called ethnicity. I will never be Japanese. My children, even if they've been there for 40 years...
So how many generations do you go down?
No generations.
So I mean, we're all descended from the French, really. So are we all French, Ben?
No.
Well, so there is a stopgap. There is a stopgap.
There's such a word called ethnicity where it's
you've said that twice.
It's totally obvious that a culture.
I mean,
just because you've got a passport,
you've got some dog whistle racism, old Twitter kind of ethno-nationalism. It's not clever. It's
you're
stupid.
pointlessly arguing over like stupid technicalities of this definition. Exactly where you draw.
It's just a stupid conversation to have.
Where you draw the line. I think even if you don't draw the line somewhere, I think we can all tell the difference between someone who has just rocked up on a boat in Somalia and someone who's been in this country for 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 4 generations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter exactly what number you draw that line.
British person, even though you've been here for 4 or 5 generations.
Well, they're not British, are they?
I mean,
they're from Afghanistan.
I mean, if you picked up someone who's been here for 5 generations and you put them in their home country of India, do you think they're going to get on better in India than they would in Britain? If you think that, you are stupid. It's dog whistle racism, and it's just a distraction from the actual issues in this country.
Well, that's an easy way to solve the debate by just calling people racist.
Well, you are being racist.
That's fine. You can call me a racist. I know I'm not. You can call me a racist. I don't care.
Okay.
You can call people TERFs. You can call people racist.
Well, you are
can
racist,
call them far right.
You are being
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, it's just lazy. It's what the left...
You don't own that word anymore. People,
what do you mean? I've never owned
people.
the word.
Well, no,
It's
the
a word,
left are trying to own the language by saying you're a racist, you're a TERF, you're
You
this,
are
you're
a
that.
racist.
It
It's
doesn't
just
work.
lazy. It's when they don't have a good comeback and a proper argument. They just throw around insults. You don't have a good
from the
argument.
real issues in this country.
You haven't made any good arguments, and so now you're just throwing around words like
It's a
racism.
distraction from the real issues in this country.
Right, coming up next, it's Last Orders with Apprentice star Nadia Suleiman. Back in a sec.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Temperatures are likely to be 5 to 10 degrees above the average for June across parts of France and Spain. Very hot conditions persisting here. A bit of a breeze, but also temperatures above average in the Canaries, getting over 30 degrees for the next few days. Highs over 32 across Italy. Plenty of hot and sunny weather here. A few showers across mainland parts of Greece, but most of the Greek islands have turned a little bit cooler with some pleasant sunshine here and plenty more sunshine to come around the Mediterranean into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we're in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Lee Anderson's Real World with me, Ben Leo, just for this week, and I'm delighted to say I'll now behind the bar and joined by star of The Apprentice, Nadia Suleiman. Nadia, welcome along.
Thank
I feel like
you.
I'm in EastEnders. I'm going to tell you to get out of my pub in a minute.
I know.
Look, we're going to pull some pints in a minute, and I think we're going to have a competition on who can pull the best pint of beer. But first of all, tell us, you've gone from Swansea to Knightsbridge. Your business is absolutely rip-roaring. Tell us about Fabici, your brand, the salon, what's going on?
So, I started Fabici in 2020. I've come from lovely sunny Swansea up to London. Started my career, obviously, in FMCG initially, and then started my own chain of hair salons, and one of them being in Knightsbridge, and obviously scaling that out to a big partnership across London with Hackett London. So, it's been fantastic. I mean, we've grown from strength to strength. It's been challenging times within COVID and being shut for a year, but we are growing our brand drastically and, you know, really just going for it. So
tell us about The Apprentice. What was Lord Sugar like working, or at least working in and around him and the BBC? Was it fun doing The Apprentice?
Absolutely brilliant. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I mean, it was a tough process, you know, but Lord Sugar is a really fair person. You know, he just tells you as it is, no nonsense, and I'm all about that. I'm all about fast moving, you know, making things happen and just going for it. So it was a great experience.
And what was your most challenging part of your stint on The Apprentice?
It's got to be when you get voted out, right? You just look at it and you think, oh no, that moment's going to come.
Did
like,
you know
what's going on?
Did you feel you were going?
Yeah, I think that episode didn't really go to plan. So I think it was one of those things where it was like, okay, my time is up here, let's go.
Just remind the viewers what happened. Why didn't it go to plan?
Well, I kind of had to go with a bit of bangers and mash, didn't I? And, you know, ultimately it was a profit task. The weather wasn't that great that morning when we chose it. And then all of a sudden it was just boiling hot. And I'm thinking, I am tasked now to sell this bangers and mash in like 21 degrees heat. How is this going to happen?
Yeah.
But, you know, ultimately did the best you could. And, you know, unfortunately our team lost and I was sent home.
Right, Nadia, I don't think you need Lord Sugar's money. You're doing perfectly fine without it. Tell us about the brand Fabici, and particularly I want to know, because I've seen it with my group of mates down south, I'm seeing more blokes especially going to sort of mid to higher end salons to get their hair cut, as opposed to, say, I don't know, Turkish barbers, for example, which is a completely another conversation which we'll get onto. Tell us about that.
So absolutely. So Fabici was created to be a men's grooming expert salon, and it's all about, you know, the man wanting to look after himself, come in and not just do hair. We are seeing a massive change in consumers, specifically men, looking after themselves more and doing more manicures, pedicures, facials. So having that high-end brand really has showcased that market, and, you know, it's growing massively. I think one of the things that has been always a bit of a disappointing thing is around some of the salons that are not necessarily regulated in the UK. So that's what we're seeing quite a lot of.
You're talking about Turkish barbers?
Turkish barbers specifically, challenging for us because there's, you know, none of this regulation. Nobody's governing around the price of what has been paid or the quality of work as such. And that's really, really challenging for us because we do often get consumers coming in saying, I've gone down the road, I've had my hair cut for £5 in a Turkish barber's, I'm coming in here now and I'm spending £70 upwards to get my hair done. What is it that you do so good? And I'm like, sit in the chair and we'll show you all about it.
Yeah.
But essentially, you know, for us, we want to continue to grow in that kind of niche area, high end, because we do feel that's where the growth is, and essentially partner up with, you know, the likes of who we're with now, Hackett, in growing that.
OK, what do you say to viewers who are watching this? And I know there'll be some who say, don't be so effeminate, men, you're losing your, you know, masculinity, getting emasculated, getting treatments and getting your hair done at a salon. What do you say to those kind of guys who maybe aren't so enthusiastic about it?
I would say look after yourself. You know, mental health is a huge thing, and ultimately, you know, if you look good, you feel good, you know, invest in yourself is a huge thing. You know, why would you not do that? There's so many women out there that spend hundreds of pounds a month on beauty treatments and hair. Why can't men do the same?
What's
so I would say, come on in.
Per month?
I would
100
say, I think £100 is reasonable. I think a lot of men would say that's probably quite high, but they wouldn't bat an eyelid and spending, you know, £100 in a pub or going, you know, going to play golf or whatever. So I think, why not do it, you know?
All right, as I said, there'll be lots of people, including some of my mates, who'll say they'd rather spend 100 quid on pints of beer or maybe some booze.
Yes.
So you have to win those guys over. Right, Nadia, talking of pints, it's competition time. Me and you are going head to head. We're going to pull our first pints. Well, it's my first pint anyway. Let's see who can do the best job. Have you pulled one before?
I've pulled a pint before, but I'm not an expert. But let's give it a go, shall we?
Let's give it a crack. I've done pints of Coke and so on, which I'm guessing is similar. But
yeah, it should be. I think you've got to get the glass. You've got to kind of tilt it.
A little bit of an angle.
Right,
here we go.
And then
I feel like Peggy Mitchell and EastEnders.
Oh, hello.
Ooh.
Right. And then you've got to kind of straight.
Something's gone on here.
Ooh.
That is perhaps. This must be Duff.
What is that?
That's all right.
That's really good.
More like a European.
Kudos, I like it.
I think in Belgium or somewhere, or a non-country like that, you'd probably get away with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, better than yours.
Yeah.
Lift up. Let's show the camera. Show the viewers.
Okay, we have actually got.
Who's won? Me.
You've definitely won that one.
Right, time for a taste of the foam.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not bad. Look, I'm proud of that for a first go.
Oh, do you want to give that a?
No, it's too foamy. No. looks like rice pudding.
Brilliant,
microwave.
isn't it?
Right, Nadia, thank you. Pleasure
Cheers.
to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Come to Fabici soon.
I will. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll stay out of the pubs and I'll get down yourself.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cheers. Thanks, Nadia. All right, that's it from me, Ben Leo, covering Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm back tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for Ben Leo Tonight. For the time being, get out of my pub.
Well, coming up on State of the Nation tonight, we'll be talking about my viral article, Is It Over for London? We'll be debating that. Lord Hermer has suggested two-tier justice claims are outrageous. We're going to be discussing that, plus Labour's new plan to send one migrant out and have another migrant in. We'll be talking to a top policy expert about that too. I'll see you in 1 minute.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office. Here on GB News, the weekend we'll see some pretty warm conditions, particularly so across the south and east of England. Humid nights and high temperatures by day. It's not going to be hot and sunny everywhere, however. There will be cloud and rain at times across the north from these weather fronts. They've been bringing pretty wet conditions across the Highlands today. This zone of rain slowly trickling southwards. Most of the rain overnight will be over hills and around coasts in the west. Many central and eastern parts will stay dry. Still quite breezy out there as well, and it is going to be a pretty warm night with temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. Overall, a pretty grey start then to Saturday, but the rain will be clearing away to the south, so the Highlands in particular having a drier, brighter day. Further south, we'll start off with a lot of cloud. We should start with some sunny spells over the east, but quite grey and murky for southwest England and Wales, particularly around coast. And again, some drizzly rain over the hills. Maybe a bit of a damp start for Belfast and Edinburgh, but that rain is edging away to the south, and much of northern Scotland having a far brighter day tomorrow. Still quite blustery. In fact, if anything, the wind's strengthening further over the far northwest, where there will be one or two showers. But through the central belt of Scotland, the east of Northern Ireland, that rain should edge to the south. So some sunny spells coming through. I suspect Cumbria may well stay dull with rain and drizzle, especially over the hills and mountains here on and off through the day. But for many places, it'll brighten up, and certainly over the Midlands, East Wales and Eastern England, those temperatures jumping up, getting into the high 20s, low 30s is possible. Sunday, similar temperatures across the east, a very warm, humid start. Again, a lot of cloud for Cumbria, some drizzly rain here, the Isle of Man, and maybe some drizzle at times for Northern Ireland. So cloudier skies here. Generally fine for Scotland, but with increasing cloud, with increasing sunshine in the south, more humidity, temperatures again getting up to 30 degrees. Hotter still across the southeast, in particular on Monday.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat